Betrayal 3rd edition content review. First off, we'll start with the dice. And already one of the better things in this edition. Bone white, clear contrast from the 2nd edition and the legacy with how it feels, the weight, and how it just feels brilliant dice roll. How it feels, because these feel a lot sharper, this feels a lot smoother, but that's a hybrid between the two. Great. Also the miniatures. Love the miniatures. It's a modern variation, and this is the priest /scientist, and it went from the legacy to the 2nd edition to the current edition, and see it's gone modernized the character. And as you can see from the models, that the 3rd edition is unpainted, which great for people who love to paint, not so great for people who don't like to paint. And from the miniatures, go over to where they've stored, and as you can see, they've been stored here, but warning any and all painters that the miniatures will be stuck and the paint will get ripped out, potentially get ripped out because how it's molded, so make sure to varnish beforehand. And talking about the miniatures, they kind of can be fitted into different ones, like Arkham Horror or Mansion Madness, and which is great. And also on the Madness is what the actual player color tokens, great. They can, as you can see, they fit on other games, but they do not fit with the older models of the Betrayal. So you're going to have to use the older rings to use all characters. And in there are the tokens, but I won't show much of those tokens because those contain spoilers for some of the characters. But here's a couple of examples of the tokens and what they would look like. Speaking of tokens, I do have to warn you that when taking them out, you have to be extremely careful, as not only are they thin, but they will rip if you don't pull it out safely. So keep in mind of that. And at this point, the quality does lower, which will be explained on the actual tiles themselves. And as you see here, I have the library from the 2nd edition and the current edition. Already, they look great. The 3rd edition looks great, but the doors are slightly harder to see on the 3rd edition than the 2nd edition. The icons is actually a little bit better on the 3rd edition. You can still read the room text, but the actual room description underneath it, where it tells you, like, for example, when you discover this tile, gain 1 knowledge, is way smaller than the text on the 2nd edition. So anyone who had problems reading the 2nd edition is going to have a lot more problems reading the 3rd. And here's another thing, and here's the backs. And talking about the backs, this came out of the box. The reason this is still in its frame is because coming out of the box, we noticed this error. So we're hoping to get that replaced, and hopefully they'll be able to do something, but because of the decision of the material, we can't fix it ourselves, fortunately. But here are the backs. It's easier to read on the 3rd edition, which honestly it's a lot, and also a lot more detailed. I'll go a little bit faster. So now onto the actual character model sheets. Character sheets The third edition, as you can see, a lot more modernized characters and way different than the second edition. But with that difference makes it a little harder. As you can see from the new icons to move it, it's flimsy. It feels like it's about to break. You're better off using the second edition as it has a little bit less grip, but able to move and also move. Yeah, and it doesn't tear this, whilst these ones, it feels a lot more sturdier. I'll quickly go into the landings. It has a lot more detail on the, not only with the designs, but with the actual descriptions, and also each landing has this icon which tells you the landing, and there's also some more icons. Going to the cards now. With the cards, instant favorite are these, the scenario starters. Now, while some people might complain that it lowers it because these do show you what haunt would be done and what place, but I say it makes it better because, like a film, you buy the film and you know what you're going to get. And with the second edition, it felt like you were taking a blank disc, and halfway through the disc, you're like, oh, it's a horror film. I will go through each and every single one of these items later so you can see the detail. Go into the events, and you can see, if you own the previous edition, you will see a complete difference in all of these cards. And again, they're all the same material, so if any of these break, it will be hard to replace, but also the cards themselves kind of feel a little bit more thinner and flimsy, unfortunately. And also, going from events to omens, I have noticed there are way less omens than the previous editions, which is unfortunate, but makes sense considering that they're most likely based on the scenarios. But it is a shame that there's no mass amount of omens. Items, I've noticed that quite a few are from old game editions, but there are some new ones as well. New items as well. Again, going through them at a later point. Now, taking these, first thing you'll notice that these two are brought in from the Legacy. Brilliant. Brilliant cards for not only visual, but helping newer players. And another welcome is the player reference. Lovely. Great to have. Brilliant to need. Now, at this point, I will be showing the cards and all the spoilers. So, if anyone doesn't want to watch, turn off now. If not, I'll quickly go through them. You can slow down the video and pause the ones you want. What I do also like with the items is that they have modernized variations and old variations of the items, so it's also nice to see that they've not only modernized the characters and the locations, but the items as well. Scenarios. Is it related to the locations and haunts? And now the tiles. Also, another great addition that I like from this is the Mystic Elevator. It looks so much better. Plus, is also improved. As in this one, you take 1 die of physical energy, whilst on this one, you don't. Lovely. Thank you for watching.